win re-election in this forthcoming general election, then I don't believe he would want to enter a period as leader of the opposition. So
what if he wins, which is what the questioner was talking about and what Mandelson was talking about?
Well, if he wins, I think...
that he's not here for more than a year or two.
Well, if he wins, I think all bets are off. Because, just as I said, that being Prime Minister is right at the centre of his life and his existence, then if he got his fingers back on the key to number 10 Downing Street, getting him to relinquish them would be almost as difficult as he found getting Tony Blair to do the same.
OK. Man in blue there, up there, in the blue shirt.
Gordon Brown never won an election to lead the Labour Party. He's never won an election to lead the country, and it's unlikely he's going to win this one on May the 6th as well.
OK. And also on the third row. Next, you.
David mentioned about camera on, camera off. Was that his camera on moment?
Yes.
When you endorsed Gordon Brown as being the best thing since sliced bread, I think he's referring to it.
Camera on and camera off.
He says camera on and camera off. Yes. Though you did once say that you couldn't have gone much further in a conference speech talking about Labour's problems because it would have been a Heseltine moment, didn't you?
I didn't actually, no.
The BBC report you did, and I never knew. You denied it.
It wasn't me who said it. No, I didn't say it.
Who said it then?
It certainly wasn't me.
Well, that's a very interesting denial. It's there on the record and has always been used, so I'm glad to hear.
Yep.
You didn't say you were doing a Michael Heseltine or would have done it.
I haven't got the hair for it.
Beware of unequivocal endorsements.
Yes.
Margaret Thatcher of Nigel Lawson. The Chancellor of the Exchequer is unassailable. He was gone in a week.
Janet Daly.
The question is, why did Lord Mandelson say this? Because, as we all know, Lord Mandelson never says anything without an intention and a motive. And I think he was trying to imply that if you vote Labour, you won't necessarily be stuck with Gordon Brown for 5 years. There might be a decent prospect of him going in an amazingly short time. I think that was the implication.
Vote Brown, get Miliband.
Yeah, well, vote Brown, get somebody, anybody.
One Miliband or the other.
Yeah.
Sounds like a political credit default swap, actually. Right. Look, I want to... This will shock you, David. Change the question slightly, because the question said, actually, why bother to vote Labour? Of course, it does matter somewhat who is the leader of this country, who is Prime Minister, but... the reason to vote, we have a thrilling moment. I don't want to hear anyone say they're all the same. They're not all the same. We have a thrilling moment that voters in Myanmar or Iran or Venezuela would give their eye teeth to have a real democratic verdict of the people.
He's not saying don't vote, he's saying don't vote Labour.
I know, I'm just saying the reason to vote... No. The reason to vote Labour or the reason to vote Conservative also depends on your judgment about competing philosophies of the way to govern this country, what Britain ought to be in the next 5 years. And I'm not forgetting the Liberal Democrats either. That's as important, I think, actually, and how you feel when you come to the voting booth on May the 6th. The reason to vote Labour, the reason to vote Liberal Democrat, the reason to vote Conservative depends on how you feel you want your Britain to be governed. That's the heart of it.
OK, the woman at the very back there on the right, yes.
You said why vote for Labour or any other party if they might change their leader. Surely the reason you should vote for a party is because you agree with their policies, not because of the presidential-style leadership. Think what your MP can do for you and for your area, not what some person far off in Whitehall can do for you.
Theresa May.
Well, I think if Labour do lose the election, then I suspect that some of those failed attempts at coups that we've already seen in the Labour Party will move in pretty quickly, as Min Campbell has indicated, in relation to Gordon Brown's leadership. I think if Labour were to win the election, then Gordon Brown would stay as Prime Minister. And that's why I think at the election there is a very clear choice for people. And it's a choice between 5 more years of Gordon Brown, 5 more years of debt and spending and waste and taxes, or change under the Conservatives. And I believe that David Cameron and we in the Conservatives have got the energy and the leadership and the values to actually get this country moving again. And that's what I think this country needs.
OK. I want to just take one or two people who haven't spoken yet. The man in spectacles there, and I think you have, madam, haven't you, already? The man behind you, I think. So the man in spectacles there, and then the man behind you.
Just to echo Simon Sharma, it's really important that we talk more about policies and stop wasting too much time going on about personalities. I mean, all the coverage so far in the last 24 hours has been about the personalities of the three leaders, what their wives are wearing.
Right, exactly.
It's policies that matter ultimately.
And you, sir?
We all know that one of the biggest issues is how we're going to get control of public spending, and yet none of the parties will tell us where the cuts are going to come from.
OK. Let's go on. Let's go on to a hard policy for all three parties, really. A question from Arthur Moulder, please.
In the event of a hung parliament, does the panel think the Lib Dems will support a party that does not support proportional representation?
Would the Liberal Democrats support a party in the event of a hung parliament that didn't support proportional representation? Ming Campbell?
Well, if I had £1 for every time someone had asked the hung parliament question in a different form, then I'd be very rich indeed. Let me make